Hi, I'm Jason Cabrenas, National Diagnostics Trainer, and I'm here today to talk to you about this Advanced Diagnostics Center that you see in front of you. Everything about this and the scan tool that's inside was designed to help you be more profitable in your shop and more accurate with your diagnostics. First off, the top does slide open and it'll latch shut, so this will help protect the Verus edge that is inside. It also comes with a keyboard and a mouse. Those are wireless, allow you to type some things in on the screen if necessary. There's a large top drawer that's capable of holding just about any printer that's out there, and you can print out a health check for a customer or maybe a code history, something like that. We'll get a little more into that in a little bit, but that'll allow you to print out just about anything you have on the tool stored, help out the customer. Also has 4 other drawers for storage of cables, lab scope leads are in there, etc. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is this 27-inch screen in front of you is in fact the touch screen. So everything that you can access on the tool is available and ready to you just a touch away. First thing I like to talk about here, this is the main menu for the scan tool. First thing I like to talk about is these system settings right here. So there's this category shop information. So if you go in here, you can put in your shop's info and it will give you a professional looking header to anything you print out inside the tool. Maybe you do a health check for a customer, print out their codes list, which we'll talk about in a minute. Anything you can print out will have a nice professional looking header across the top. You can use that as a marketing tool because your shop's name will be right there, phone number, any slogan, any website, all of that. So the customer has an easy way to contact you and have your shop in the back of their mind. Next thing I like to talk about is this vehicle history right here. So we go into vehicle history, it's going to store every single vehicle we ever hook this tool up to until we delete them. You can also take a look at it, so this is the last thing I did here, and it will store any of the codes that you scan out of this vehicle as well, with a date stamp and a time stamp. Now this is very important for justifying that ever elusive diagnostic labor time. So you can say, all right, Mr. Customer, you came in, you had a check engine light on your vehicle, this date and this time, we checked it. These are the codes that we got. So we went through our diagnostic process and checked it and fixed everything that we needed to fix. We took it for a little road test to make sure nothing came back. Half an hour later or an hour later or whatever it may be, just imagine there's another date stamp and time stamp there. And these codes are verified to be fixed. You're all set. Since maybe a half an hour or an hour elapsed between those date stamps and time stamps, they're going to be more apt to believe that you actually spent that amount of time on the car, right? So that will be a good way to justify that time to the customer. Now, there's also an area for attachments over here. Any road tests that you store on the vehicle, maybe God forbid you do have a comeback and you had taken it on a road test and saved it. Well, then you can go back and recall that road test, take a look, hey, maybe something was missed on the road test, maybe something was going bad and hadn't gone bad yet, something like that. Now up at the top of my vehicle history, once I'm on the vehicle screen, I can click this activate button and that will load the vehicle into the tool for me automatically, so I don't have to re-ID it, I don't have to go through all of that. It's going to save you some time, save you some clicks. So if we talk about diagnosing vehicles, there's many different ways to go through it. You go through the manufacturer's flow chart and all of that. We really think that you can distill all of those steps down into 4 easy steps. First step is scan. We're going to check the car for codes because sometimes the engine light will be on, sometimes the engine light won't be on, and there could still be a code in there. So we want to make sure we check the vehicle for codes first. It's going to point us in a good direction. Next thing is SureTrack. There's integrated SureTrack information in here, and we can go in and start to get information from the real world, from real verified repairs, where we might want to start and where we might want to look and go next. After that, we're going to check TSBs. If you're not checking TSBs fairly early on in your diagnostic process, might be a good idea to start, because a lot of times the only way you can actually fix a car is by reading the TSB that comes from the manufacturer, those technical service bulletins that come out, 30 or 40 of them come out every week. So you have access to that right from the tool, and that might help you speed up your diagnostics as well. And then the last thing is we're going to use either functional tests through the scan tool to turn things on and off, or we're going to use a lab scope, and I'll talk about the easiest lab scope you've ever used in your life in a second. But to use a lab scope to verify that the part has actually indeed failed before we replace it, And then also make sure that once we replace the new part, that the new part is in fact good before we ship the car off down the road. That'll help reduce comebacks. Let's go through this diagnostic process on this tool and see how that might apply to a real-world scenario. So we're going to load our vehicle. We already activated it. We're going to confirm our vehicle. It's going to tell us we're in demo mode because it's my demo vehicle. Now you see we have all the different systems that we cover on this vehicle. First thing right here is code scan. That will scan the entire vehicle and check all modules for codes. I'm going to actually go into engine though, because we know we have engine codes in this vehicle. I already checked it. So I'm going to go into my codes menu and look at my codes, all of them, and there's my list of codes. Now, if I click on any of these codes, you'll see there's a number changing up here on the top. If I click this little arrow, there's a graph right there. This is our SureTrack information. This is experience-based information, and this we call the commonly replaced parts graphs. So you see right here, based on 18 repairs. This one based on 984 repairs. This one, 2,248 repairs. So this is going to give you the most commonly replaced repairs for this problem on this vehicle, specific to the year, make, model, engine, and code. Now, it's not a good idea to just replace that first part. That's probably a bad plan when it comes to diagnostics, but that would be the first place you should probably check. Or maybe the next thing if you've already checked the first thing, right? So you want to make sure you go down the list and you want to make sure you're verifying and testing those problems. So there's my SureTrack, codes to SureTrack. That only took 1 second. Just click on it. If we click on fix it, it's also going to give us more information, more SureTrack information through here. These first 3 related tips and real fixes as well. And then the last thing over here is repair information. That is if you have the optional ShopKey Pro system, that will link right over to ShopKey Pro, load the vehicle for you, load the code for you as well, and you can go right through, get your wiring diagrams and procedures and all that. Okay, so that is checking codes and then SureTrack. Next thing was TSBs. So if I click down here on this little TSB button, it is directly integrated with the tool. It's going to pull all of the technical service bulletins for this vehicle off the website, and it's going to display them on the screen. It's searchable. You can also click through different categories to find the different TSBs. So here's all the different technical service bulletins on this vehicle. Maybe it's body electrical problems. So I'll click here where it says body electrical. And then there's all these different tips. How about reducing electrical intermittent problems? How about an intermittent no crank, no start? That could be a problem. Maybe there's some corrosion on there. All right, so maybe that was the entire problem. It just had some corrosion on the connector and we needed to put grease in there. So that's using up to the TSBs. Now maybe I need to actually test the part and see what the failure might be. So I saw an EVAP code in there, right? So let's go in the EVAP system. That's pretty common. So we're going to load this vehicle into our guided component test. I like to call this our lab scope with training wheels. Once the vehicle's loaded in there, and you see I didn't have to click too much to get there because it carries the vehicle through to all these different modules. The first thing it's going to give me is all the different systems I can test things in on this vehicle. So I want to check the fuel injection system because that's where that is. And then under that, we're going to have either a list of components and as well as different subsystems. So if I want to test something in the EVAP system, I can go to the EVAP system. Once I'm in a system or a component, I can go in here, and the first thing is always component information. Because we don't know everything about every single part on every single car. First thing it's going to tell us is how it functions and operates on the top left. On the right hand side, it's going to show us what the connector looks like, what each wire on that connector does. And down at the bottom, it's going to tell me where that part is located and where the best place to test it is. Because maybe it's a hard to access part and there's an easier place on the harness to test it somewhere. So it's going to give you the easiest, fastest place to test it. If I go back, it's going to give me all sorts of different tests that are available for whatever we have loaded in here. So let's say I want to test the vent solenoid. I can go in here, there's 2 tests. So we'll go DC voltage test. And over on the top left, it's going to tell you how to hook up the tool in order to test this. Now all of our leads are color coded. Channel 1 is yellow, channel 2 is green, etc. The wires are color coded. So we're going to need to plug in our yellow wire to the vent control wire So whatever one that might be on the vent solenoid. And then we're also, so that would be here, number A or letter A. And then black would need to go to a known good ground. Then it's going to tell us how it works and how to test it. So if I have it plugged in and I click view meter, it's going to automatically set up my voltage. It's going to set up my time for me. It's going to set everything up for me and tell me where to plug it in. Now, if that's not an easy to use lab scope, I really don't know what is. Right? Because that makes it super, super simple and easy to start using a lab scope to verify those problems and also verify your repairs after the fact. So as you can see with all these things I just talked about, the easy to use touchscreen so everything's right at your fingertips, the integrated SureTrack, the integrated technical service bulletins, the really easy to use lab scope, those guided component tests, the customer history, all of those things, combine that with our industry leading customer support and training options, well, you just got a winning combination right there. So make sure you talk to your franchisee today about getting your own advanced diagnostic work center. Thank you for your time.